welcome to the Aspire Sports Show. I'm Tyler, and I'm here with Ryan and Giggs, and we're going to be talking about the Monday night game, the doozy between Chicago and the Los Angeles Rams. We go from Arizona and Seattle, possibly one of the best games of the year so far, if not the best game of the year, to this game. What an exciting game, yes. But honestly, it was a defense battle, really. Well, Chicago couldn't do anything offensively because they just look putrid, really. Everything about them. But let's go ahead and just get into it. Remember, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and use code ASPIRE for Thrive Fantasy. All right, let's go ahead and just get into it. So I'm going to start off by saying, Chicago's offensive line is not very good. When you have David Montgomery, who really, he looks like he's trying to do everything he can in the backfield just to be able to get some room to run. There's constantly people in the backfield. He has to do spin moves, little jukes, jump cuts to be able to make a guy miss and try to get to the second level. But he can't get to the second level because I will say, yes, the Rams have a pretty good front, but still, this guy has been weeks now. Against Carolina, didn't really have the room to run. Now, it's also a little bit on him. He has to make some guys miss, but at the same time, when you're getting people in the backfield right off the snap, like, it's just not good. And then I don't know how many times Foles was sacked tonight, but it was quite a bit. He was holding on to the ball a little bit, but 4 sacks. So Bears offense didn't look too good. I'll say that. So I'll kick it over to Ryan here. Ryan, what were your thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you called it from the beginning. You weren't expecting a big game for Montgomery. I think his longest rush of the night, even that was just like one of those like hard working, like I think it was 8 yards, but
11.
All
it was hard. Yes.
Yeah, and the Bears, all in all, just I think everyone's kind of been waiting for them to have a true test, which I don't know that the Rams are necessarily some incredible team either, but they definitely knocked them down a peg from being up at like that top of the totem pole in the NFC, at least. Definitely not in the NFL, but at least in the NFC.
The Bucks last week, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Knocked them down.
So, yeah. The Rams look like a solid team. Obviously, they had some injuries. Higbee being out kind of put Everett in the spotlight. And that Munt that came in, too, I mean, he was making some decent catches as well, and they said that he's mainly the blocking guy. But all in all, I think that this was probably a battle of two teams the Bears will probably make the playoffs, but the Rams are in a tough division, so I don't know if they even make the playoffs, to be honest. So not the NFL's best work for a Monday night game, but it also wasn't, I'm sure, the worst we'll see all season either.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's some terrible ones with like the Jets or somebody on. So
next week's the Bucks versus the Giants.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's gonna be a blowout. I at least we'll be able to watch the Bucks offense just demolish them, so that'll be entertaining. But watching the Giants, yes, that's gonna be rough. They get 2 primetime games in a row. Then they get Thursday night. Now they get Monday night. The Giants, come on. But Giggs, let's go ahead and kick it over to your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I was actually a little surprised that the Rams were able to move the ball as easily as they could. Felt like at times they were kind of humming. Looked like a Patriots offense at times. But, like death by a million paper cuts. It's the most annoying type of offense to watch, by the way. But you're right. Bears offense looks like trash. Nick Foles has no time to throw the ball. Montgomery can't do anything because of the O-line. It doesn't. They were probably the worst 5-1 team coming in this week. It's like fool's gold. They're not that great of a team. I don't think they're going to make noise. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Rams, I kind of felt the same way, but tonight kind of gave me a little bit more faith in their offense.
Right.
A little surprised that they put up as many points as they did, but I expected it to be a low-scoring game. Kind of went how I expected, but good for the Rams. I think they're 5-2 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who do they got in their division? They got Seattle and Arizona, right?
And
that's going to be interesting.
And the Niners.
That's right. That might be the toughest division in football right now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It has been. I feel like it has been for the past couple of years now. Those teams have all been really think right there in contention, except Arizona, but now Arizona's coming up, so
Right.
it is pretty good. It'll be interesting. Maybe 3 teams in that division make the playoffs. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see what happens. So, but yeah, I mean, the only really big news, there was somebody that was carted off. I'm sorry, I forget what his name is. He was a defensive player for the Rams. It looked like he possibly did he break his leg? Or
It looked ankle-ish. Yeah, that was brutal to watch.
They
So,
immediately went to commercial.
yeah, they're like, okay, we're not. I forget what the announcer exactly said, but he was like, okay, we're not gonna show that again because it was bad. But the other one was Allen Robinson. He definitely got knocked out. I'm surprised that they didn't call helmet to helmet because it was definitely helmet to helmet. The defender came up in the back, hit him in the back of the head. You could just see it. His body went limp, and then he just got drove into the turf on his head. It was pretty bad. Well, not pretty bad, but I guess so because hits to the head aren't good. So, but I'd imagine he'll probably play next week. We'll see. Just keep your eye posted for that. See if it was what if he's able to clear. But I'd imagine he's going to be able to clear concussion protocol. So, but yeah, it just wasn't pretty. It was a very entertaining, I must say. If you're a Rams fan, then sure, you're probably entertained looking at watching them beat this team, a 5-1 team. So you're probably pretty pleased. But I know that majority, it's crazy because we've kind of gone from like not too long ago, the NFL is like a defensive league where you have like some of the best defenses, and that's kind of what it was. And then you have a couple offenses that are high scoring, but it was like good defense. And now it's like everybody just wants to see offense. Like that's what everybody wants to see now. So it's a bit of a shift in the offense in this game. Yeah, you had the Rams, but it still wasn't that pretty. Like it was methodical, like Gig said. Patriots just nickel diming it down the field effectively and get in the end zone. So other than that, I mean, any other takeaways really from this game? I mean, outlook wise, I feel like this Rams offense just kind of keeps humming along. But I know Ryan wants to kind of talk about one of these players in this game. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, so we're talking if we're the original hour, we're talking about people that we're not as high on as we once were, and they're kind of going the opposite way of where you want fantasy-wise. It's Robert Woods. They keep trying to be – the reason everyone liked Robert Woods is because this offense, they do continue to try to get him the ball in creative ways, which you'll see him with the end-arounds, like the rushes and stuff like that, which are nice. And obviously tonight with the Bears defense, you saw it wasn't very successful. I mean, he fumbled the one ball that they returned for the touchdown on the end-around. And he's just not catching a ton of passes. I will say his schedule hasn't been the easiest the last few weeks, but he has a couple matchups here that get a little easier. Miami, a bye, then Seattle. But then he goes right back to a tough schedule with Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and Arizona. So, I mean, he, all in all, if the receptions, he's just not catching a ton of passes. 3 receptions, 4 receptions, 4 receptions. The only times is that he has good fantasy production is when he gets in the end zone, he does have 3 touchdowns on the season, so it's decent. But unless he's getting in the end zone, as far as wide receivers that you're starting, you don't necessarily want starting wide receivers, especially a guy you draft is probably as wide receiver 1 or 2, depending on how you went about drafting. That's not you don't want a tight end or a touchdown dependent wide receiver as your wide receiver 1 or 2. So I'm just not as high as I once was on Robert Woods, and I was hoping to be this entire season because I did have him in quite a few leagues.
Mm-hmm. No, I do agree with you. What about you, Giggs? Well, any final thoughts from you from this game?
Yeah, if you're a David Montgomery owner, you're pretty bummed out if you drafted him as like your RB2.
Agreed.
Hopefully
Especially with this
Allen
opportunity.
Oh yeah,
Tariq Cohen going down.
right. Cohen looked better than Montgomery did before Cohen went down.
He did.
Sad. But yeah, Montgomery, he was probably drafted as an RB2, RB3 in a lot of leagues, 10-man, 12-man. And he's like bottom of the barrel right now. He's not doing that good. And I would say you got to keep an eye on Allen Robinson, what's going on there. Mm-hmm. He's going in concussion protocol. He might miss next week. I don't think they have a bye. I do think they have a game next week. And I think it's a good matchup, too, for him. Who Chicago have?
They have the Saints next week.
Yeah, Saints' pass defense hasn't looked that great this year, so hopefully they can have Allen Robinson back for that game. But other than that, just another shitty Monday night game. This one took the cake. Like, we'll see if anything can beat this one.
The Monday night games are tough, definitely. But I'll also say this. We talk about Robert Woods not being that good, but honestly, Cooper Kupp really this year hasn't been as that good as well. Especially he was really hot for like the first 8 weeks of the season last year, or like maybe first 10. I forget how long it really was, and then it wasn't that good afterwards. It was okay, and this year it's like okay, he's a top 25 guy, but he's right there at 24. So it's like it's not. I feel like people expected a bit more. But at least he's in the top 25. He's healthy, and that's really all you can ask for. And going forward, hopefully it gets a little bit better, which I think it will. But at the same time, the Rams are doing a pretty decent job of running the football as well. Like I feel like that's why these guys haven't been as good as maybe years past, because they've just been really good at running the football, really efficient, really effective. They have 3 running backs, really, who one of them doesn't even play. I mean, I said go and trade for him, and right now he doesn't even play. He doesn't even see the field. I guess I understand, because Darrell Henderson, honestly, watching him tonight, he looks really good. Like he looks pretty fast, and he looks powerful. Like he's just a man running out there. I thought he looked pretty good tonight. It wasn't like a crazy game or anything, but when he touches the ball, I like the way he runs the football. So, but other than that,
one other injury we forgot to note. I don't think he ever came back in the game, but Eddie Jackson went down with that looked like knee injury pretty early in the game, and you would have thought that would help with Woods or Kupp getting open, because I know Eddie Jackson said he was Pro Bowl over the last 2 years, and they still weren't really able to. Not that they had to keep passing the ball at any point, because they always had a pretty sizable lead for the most part in this game, but. That was just another one to note to see, because that was a non-contact knee injury. So those are always kind of the ones that make you nervous, especially as a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say Josh Reynolds looked pretty good in this game too. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing with these receivers. It's like whoever kind of has, and that's how it was when Cooks was there. Like you'd have your certain guys who would do really well. Cooper Kupp for like the first, like I said, the 10 weeks, it didn't matter. He was doing so well. He was on fire. But it's kind of like, whoever has a good matchup, McVay's just kind of smart in a sense where I feel like he takes advantage of the matchups and he'll kind of go after the weaker of the, secondary there. So, which did you say next week they have Miami? Is that who they have next week?
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miami.
But so Miami then a bye, yeah.
Yeah, because we got Tua time. Tua. Well, we'll see how well he does against this defense. But yeah, other than that, although I will say Miami actually has 2 good cover corners right now, because Byron Jones is healthy and they have Xavier Howard on the outside. So both of them are pretty good cornerbacks in the NFL. The person that I think is going to have a good week is Kupp, because in the slot he gets Needman's pretty bad. He's like one of the worst slot cornerbacks in the NFL, rated by Pro Football Focus, and he's given up a ton of yards as well. So maybe Kupp has a good week next week. But let's go ahead, and Ryan kind of talked about the one Woods. Let's go over to Giggs, who's somebody that you're starting to lose a little bit of faith in. Just go ahead.
Yeah, a guy I'm losing faith in would be Ezekiel Elliott. And I'm not saying bench the guy, but you got to kind of pay attention to what's going on in Dallas right now. It looks like the team's defeated. They have no faith in the rest of the season. You got your O-line banged up. Dalton's out now. I don't expect Ezekiel Elliott to be the guy who can take 25, 30 carries with this O-line, with no one under center that is really a threat that demands respect from the defense. I don't see him having, a top 5 RB season, which he was supposed to be. I think he's going to have a hard time putting up RB1 numbers consistently. So if you have anyone in your league that's a big Ezekiel Elliott homer, like Tyler, you gotta get rid of him. Whoa. I'm saying you got to get rid of him while you can. He could easily have a decent season. You know, maybe he turns it around. I don't know. Right now, I don't have faith in it. I don't like where Dallas is going. I would try to ship him out.
The only person that I'm gonna even consider is Amari Cooper. Other than that, I feel like everybody else. I don't even know if I maybe had one catch this week. What did CD? Maybe one. I don't even know if he had a catch.
I think
It was either a
CD and
catch or-
Gallup combined for like 2 or 1 catch. Like it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yeah, so if you own any Dallas players, I mean, it's just crazy. And this is it. Like fantasy, the NFL can change like seriously in 1 week. 1 week, you know, one team can be on the top and it just takes one injury and that team's free falling. Same with fantasy. You could look at your roster and be like, man, I got one solid ass team, and then one injury completely can derail the team or a couple injuries. So it's just how fast fantasy is. So I do agree. Dallas is just not looking good. They look terrible right now. I'll go ahead with mine, and mine is going to be Ronald Jones. And it's disappointing because I do like Ronald Jones a lot. But with Leonard Fournette coming back, he looked pretty good, and he was pretty heavily involved. They basically split the backfield. So hopefully you sold high on Ronald Jones when you had the chance, because unless there's an injury to Leonard Fournette, you probably missed your opportunity, because it's probably going to be a split backfield at this time going forward. And I feel like Leonard Fournette's probably more of the preferred back out of the backfield compared to Ronald Jones. So he's kind of losing that category as well. Any other players that you're kind of losing faith in?
Not off the top of my head.
Me neither. I'm sure I could have some more. We'll have another segment. I'll have a little buy sell. Oh, well, if we're going to be on Tampa Bay, I'm also going to talk about Mike Evans, who he was in my sell. Should have sold him last week, and this was prior to Antonio Brown news, prior to AB news, because now his value is basically probably near nothing. If you have a good manager who's been paying attention and everything, you're probably not going to be able to sell him. I will say you could probably sell him to somebody who's not the best manager, and you have some of those in your leagues. You could probably get some value off of just Mike Evans, the name alone. So if you can still sell, I would definitely 100% sell him. But let's go ahead into gaining your trust. So some of these players are starting to come on, right? Some of these players you're starting to be like, okay, this guy, like Fulgham, right? Everybody was like, okay, and then he crushes Pittsburgh, and they're like, wow, this dude's a stud. And then he goes out there and does well against Baltimore, and then does it again. So everybody's definitely on board now. But somebody like that you're starting to gain some trust in from you guys. Let's go with Ryan first.
I'm going to go Logan Thomas. Ever since Kyle Allen came back, he continues to be one of his favorite red zone targets. He's had a touchdown in 2 straight weeks, and it's kind of he did have a lull down in the middle of the season, which Tyler mentioned it. He was kind of high on Logan Thomas, as a lot of people were towards the beginning of the season, and he's just continuing to catch touchdown passes against decent defenses against tight ends. Obviously, the touchdown against Dallas is a little less impressive, but with the bye coming up this week, he gets the Giants again, then Detroit, then Cincinnati, and Dallas again. He isn't someone after I'm looking at his schedule. I don't love him in come playoff time, but if you need a guy to get you through a couple more weeks, maybe you're like a Zach Ertz owner or someone that's kind of, you have a guy that's down or need a couple matchup plays here and there. I do like Logan Thomas for the next few weeks after the bye before playoffs start. He does look a lot better with Kyle Allen under center as far as red zone targets and getting the ball into his hands.
Agreed. I agree with that. I was big on him. He has looked better these past couple of weeks. Let's go over to Giggs. What are a couple players I know that you want to talk about that gaining your trust?
Yeah, I got a handful actually. One of them's Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk looks really good. He's got 5 touchdowns over the last 4 games. The Cardinals' offense is so fast-paced, high-powered that you want a piece of it. And I think Christian Kirk has really solidified himself as the number 2 there. He also is really good at stretching the defense. He's like a big play guy. And I'm a homer for those kind of guys. So if you look at it, he had 10.3 against the Jets, 22.6 against Dallas, 18.2 against Seattle. They're going into the bye. So if you're in like a 12-man, 10-man team league, look for him to be dropped if someone needs to pick someone up because he's on bye. He might just be one of those people that get thrown, cast aside. Go pick him up. I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver 3-4 moving forward. And I also like DeAndre Swift. I think week 5, when Detroit had their bye, I think they kind of came together and said, look, we got to get Swift more involved. How are we going to do that? And I think it's been through the passing game mostly, but he's averaged over 4 yards per carry since coming out of the bye. They've admitted it. They said that when they run it with Adrian Peterson, it's too obvious of what they're doing. They need to get it to be Kerryon Johnson or Swift. I think Swift's going to be the guy who just continues to get 16 carries, maybe 20 touches, 4 passes in the game, 5 passes coming his way. So I think he's going to be solid 15 points going forward just about every single game, because I think he's a very talented running back. He was actually my second favorite running back in this draft. And then my last guy, hold on, where is he? Yeah, everyone's gonna love this one. Oh, no, I'll kick it over to you because I know you have somebody. I want to get this guy's stats up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about him. I keep talking about him. All right. Wouldn't you want this player on your team, right? His past 3 games, 13 catches, 258 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it's only 1 touchdown, but past 3 games, I think I would want that person on my team, and that person is Tim Patrick. I keep talking about him. Everybody keeps saying, Jerry Jeudy, he's a beast. Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe, but this is me personally, I will argue maybe not the first option anymore in this offense with Noah Fant coming back, but he's definitely somebody who, I talked about this before, last year, he played pretty well with Courtland Sutton, and I feel like he's kind of in that role now with like Courtland Sutton was, and you have Drew Lock who liked Sutton a lot, and I feel like Tim Patrick, this was a tough game, in snow already. That it was already snowing. Patrick Mahomes didn't even have like a crazy game. It was just like special teams, they were crushing them, defensive touchdown. So it was a snowy game, and I think going forward, Tim Patrick is going to be somebody that you want to own. And somebody may have dropped him because he had like 3 catches for 40-some yards, which wasn't bad, believe me, was pretty good. So if he's dropped, I suggest you to go out and get him because he's going to be the number 1 receiving option right next to Fant in this offense going forward. So, yes, go and pick him up. Giggs, do you have yours?
I do. And Ryan, you might get a kick out of this one, but this might be a stretch. I think Nelson Agholor is now the wide receiver 1 in Oakland. And if he's out there, you go get him. Because you look at his past 3 games, week 4 he had Buffalo, put up 12.4. Then he had Kansas City, put up 14.7. They went into the bye, and they had Tampa. He just put up 20.2 against Tampa. This week they get Cleveland. They're very bad pass defense, good rush defense, bad pass defense. So I think he may have carved out this role as the 1 or 2. I think the 1. And going forward, he's got Cleveland, Chargers, Denver, Kansas City, Atlanta, Jets. I think it's kind of a soft schedule. It's not the easiest, but he may be a viable wide receiver 3, 4, 5 at the worst going forward.
No, I agree. The Eagles took him early. It was, I think, 20 overall. The Eagles have just been horrible, like notoriously just horrible at developing wide receivers, and I don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed he makes plays out there. He's quick as hell too. I mean, he's a solid wide receiver, and Derek Carr has definitely built a rapport with him. So I don't blame you on that one.
What do you mean? They have JJK Whiteside?
Yeah,
He's been good. Hey, maybe what's his name? What's his
Rager.
first name?
Jalen.
Jalen. That's what I thought. I was gonna say Jalen, but I was thinking of Hurts, right? That's his first name. Jalen Hurts too.
Yeah.
Jalen's. Yeah, but yeah. No, I agree. I think that Nelson Aguilar has been playing good. Sometimes this, honestly, and this is pretty cliche to say, but it's honestly the truth. Sometimes guys just need different scenery. You have whole Philadelphia making fun of him He's on the one guy on the news, right? Said that he couldn't even catch a pass or whatever. He like caught somebody jumping out the window in a fire, and then everybody made big news about it. Like, how does that play on somebody's confidence? That, for me, that would not make me confident in my ability. So sometimes a change of scenery is all that's needed for some of these players. Look at Ryan Tannehill, been a stud. So a lot of these players just need kind of a change, and they can get it back. So I do agree with that. So let's go into our final thing here before we're going to wrap it up for this show. Early bets. If you guys have any spreads, money lines, total, over-unders, whatever it may be, anyone, have you guys kind of been looking? And like, if you have, what's your favorite one that you've kind of, oh, this one looks pretty good. If you're going to bet on one early, which one would it be? Ryan?
I mean, I'm looking over them right now. If I'm looking specifically maybe at this Thursday night game, I don't think the Falcons really deserve to be only. I feel like the Panthers should probably be more by more than. No, it's by 2.5 though. So if you're telling me that the Panthers aren't going to win by a field goal or more, I think you're a little crazy. Especially they're saying that McCaffrey has a chance to play. It's not likely, but I think even just maybe the excitement of this dude practicing and knowing that they're getting him back here soon, maybe that plays a role. Maybe Davis, I know he had a bad game. I think I'm pretty sure he had a bad game this week. But maybe that lights a little fire under him. He has one more at last game before kind of losing his job to keep at least a role in this offense. So I would take, looking at Thursday night's game, I'd take the Panthers covering 2.5. And I'm sure this line will move. I'd say it'll probably end at 3.5 or 4.
What do you think about the points? I feel like that's pretty low. Like, I know it's a Thursday night game, but I feel like this could be a pretty high-scoring game. I think these two offenses are pretty good offenses, so I could imagine 49's kind of low for me. I'd imagine if this was like a Sunday game, that's probably be in the 50s. So being a Thursday night game, I mean, they're usually a bit sloppier, but sloppier could be a good thing for these offenses going against the defenses. So I think 49's kind of low in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to obviously talk about my one. It's going down, and it keeps going down. So if you got this, I did bet on it when it was 4.5. It started at 5 points, and now it's at 3.5 when I'm looking at this. The Steelers game. I mean, to me, sure, I honestly think Baltimore is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be by like a field goal is what they're going to win. So to get Steelers 5, they could win this game as well. They could get pressure on Lamar. I don't think Lamar's that good of a quarterback. The only worry I truly have is Ben throwing the ball, because when he goes into Baltimore, he doesn't play that well in Baltimore. So that's the one thing I'm worried about in this game is truly Ben. I'm not worried about the defense. I think that they'll be able to stop Lamar. I'm really not worried about that at all. I'm just worried about Ben. But given when I got this at 4.5, you're giving me 4.5 points for Pittsburgh. Yes, I do like that. And Giggs, what about you? Any that you've looked at or anything, or no?
Yeah, I kind of like the 3.5 or money line for Pittsburgh. I was kind of surprised that they were the underdog. There's really no home game this year. Like, there's no crowd, so just because it's at Baltimore doesn't really mean anything to me. Looking at some of these spreads, I kind of like Buffalo -4 against New England. New England's look like shit, and I also kind of like the under in that game at 44. And then Detroit, Indianapolis, I think 50 is kind of high. I think Colts have a really good defense, and even though Detroit's been able to put up points at times, I think they really are trying to run the ball now. So less time to air it out, and Indy is not an easy team to move the ball on. So kind of like the under in that game. I agree with you with Atlanta, Carolina. I kind of like the over. And then how about that minus 2,200 odds for Kansas City Jets? You could sell a share of Amazon and put it on Kansas City and only make $116 or something like that. Right. 3,600 to make like 116. It's just stupid. I don't even know what I would do with that game. Maybe the over, because Kansas City could probably score 28 points in the first quarter. The over-under is 48 right now. So I like the over. But other than that, did I say Tennessee? Tennessee -5.5. I love that against Cincy. I think they can easily do that.
I like the last thing I'm going to talk about as well is Tampa Bay. I mean, Monday night game, 10.5 points. They look pretty terrible. Yes, that seems very low, especially against the worst offensive line in the NFL right now. And you have probably one of the best defenses coming in here. I don't see the Giants scoring more than, honestly, like 10 points. I think they're going to get obliterated in this game. Tampa Bay is going to be able to do whatever they want. Can Antonio Brown come back this week or next week?
Next, they have a bye this week. Oh, wait, no. I think it's week 9. Yeah, it's week 9.
Week 9? Okay, yeah. So not this week. Okay. So, I just think that they can, the 10.5, I know it's a lot of points, but I think this game could get more than that. I feel like 14 is probably what it's going to, I feel like it'll probably end at 13, honestly. Somewhere right around 13 is where this line will probably end. But yeah, anything else other than that, guys? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say, fantasy-wise, betting-wise, DFS-wise? Anything else?
No, other than we get 3 NFC East teams on primetime this coming week, Sunday night and Monday night. So buckle up, boys.
Buckle up, buckaroos.
And last thing I'm going to say is Ryan, in the live stream earlier, did say he had a player prop, or not a player prop, a parlay, and it hit. So hopefully you listen to him. I'm going to post it.
For the people.
The parlay for the people. I'm going to post that on our Twitter page, which you can follow us at Aspire Sports _. So thank you guys so much for watching, being a part of this. We really appreciate it. So thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.